Our next reader is Melissa Graeber. She is a 5th-generation resident of San Francisco. I have heard very good things about her Bloody Mary making skills. And she runs a high school English department where most of her responsibilities involve teaching teenagers to understand Moby Dick references in hip-hop songs. So you should definitely talk to her about that later, but in the meantime, let's hear what she has to say about dirt.
So I too was encouraged to write something dirty to share. And initially I was going to read a scathing expose of history of horrible dates that I've been on in the mission. But I was informed that there were too many identifiable tattoos. So I'm actually going to read you a literal story about dirt. My mother's brother gave my father a box of dirt for Christmas. Before I tell you about the significance of this dirt, you should know some things. My parents grew up next door to each other on a tiny, twisty street on one of the city's infamous hills. All of their siblings have been best friends since before they can remember. Memories of each other's parents calling them home at dusk are inextricably linked. There are ancient Shakespearean grudges, invented languages, complicated emotional shorthands. My mother babysat my father's sisters every day. When my mother turned 12, she went to the funeral of my father's littlest sister, who died from a hole in her heart. My father built an A-frame fort in my mother's backyard with her brother. No girls were allowed. 30 years later, my mother took care of my father's mother for months as she died from cancer. My mother's mother had died when my mother was 28. There is a moment I can pinpoint, a collision between a sob and a sigh, when the weight of this history hit me. It was at my grandmother's funeral. My entire family was there, both sides. And it was only then that I began to grasp the gravity of how intertwined and labyrinthine my family's tangles were. How strange to be surrounded by people who have truly known each other their whole lives. We are not an easy family. There are knots of melancholy and madness. There is a murder and a mail-order bride. There is the loud and uncouth uncle who works at the junkyard, who used to duck his dump truck to rescue people trapped in the Cypress Freeway after it collapsed in the 1989 earthquake. There were knockdown brawls at the bottom of stairs in our Christmas best. There are the same stories, 10 stories we tell, over and over. At the funeral, my father began to speak. He spoke easily until he mentioned my mother, and then he broke down. We all broke down. He said, "The way my wife took care of my mother these last months, I've never loved her more. This is what we do. This is what one does, without hesitation, for the people we love. We take care of each other." This was the moment my parents became people to me. The moment I realized my mother has taken care of people because that is just what you do. And that for my parents, with their ancient bond, this was their glue. That watching the person you love take care of another person you love is what makes them shine. That in the darkness of watching the person who raised you die, another kind of love is cemented. Back to the dirt. Back to the tiny, twisty street on a hill. Back to 2 houses, side by side. My father's family moved out after he graduated from high school. My father already knew he would marry my mother. A lady moved into my father's house, a lady who my mother's father remarried after my mother's mother died. They moved away too. And then my mother's brother bought my father's old house, the house next door to the one he grew up in. He started renovating the backyard in the shadow of the fort that still stands, the fort he built with my father. My uncle took this backyard dirt and he put it in a box on which he wrote the latitude and longitude. On top of the box, he put a spoon and a brush. In front of everyone on that Christmas morning, my father spooned through the dirt from his old backyard. He brushed dirt away from the ashtray he made with his 10-year-old hands, carved with his faded initials. A plastic army figurine, the lid to a tin of coffee opened nearly 50 years ago. A marble. These things that lay under the dirt for decades, forgotten but present. The omniscient past. How lucky to be in a room 50 years later, surrounded by people who knew what all this dirt meant.
It's true, I sent them all the same email.